Hi guys. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I normally do. Excuse my face, I'm not wearing that much makeup today. I'm just keeping it very casual today. I don't really feel like putting on a whole lot of makeup. The video that I'm going to discuss today is something that I've thought about doing for a while. Especially since starting my page on Instagram and YouTube. So today I'm going to discuss my alopecia story. To go into fuller details about my hair loss, when it first started, and how it's affected me throughout the 15 years that I've had it. I've been inspired to do this video by a couple of other Instagrammers. I really love their honesty, and they're discussing their hair loss and how it's affected them, and I wanted to do the same. Now, I don't want to make this video super negative. The first thing I want to point out that I love nothing more than showing the positives of female hair loss from, alternative hair that you can wear. I'm wearing my Luster topper today actually, which I love it. But yeah, I enjoy making videos showing, hair toppers and everything that you can do to combat your hair loss, and just to make yourself feel better, and not to let it completely control your life. However, before I found alternative hair, and before I found this community and started this page, I've had years of just the most horrible self-loathing and depression, and just feeling awful about myself because of my hair loss. And as much as I want to share mainly the good about things to do with my hair loss, I also think it's super important to share the bad, and to share my experience and what I've been through with it, because it's going to help others, and ultimately that's why I made this page. So as I've said, if you're completely new to my page, you haven't seen any other videos, my name is Laura, and I have androgenic alopecia, and I have done for 15 years. Now, I've said that quite a few times in other videos, but if you're completely new to me, that's my story so far. I was diagnosed with androgenic alopecia just last year. In December, I finally went for a trichology appointment and handed over my blood results. I found out a lot of things about my actual health in general, which has contributed to my hair loss. But ultimately, I was told it's androgenic alopecia, genetic female hair loss, or female pattern balding is another term you can use for it, which I don't like to use, to be honest. However, my hair loss started when I was 17. And the first person that really noticed it was actually my dad. So at the time, I had really peroxide bleached blonde hair that I had done myself and destroyed it. So my dad had mentioned that he noticed my hair was starting to break quite a lot near the top, because of the damage that I'd done with the bleaching. But then he also pointed out that he noticed that my hairline started to look quite wide, that he could see my scalp through my hairline, and he was pretty worried about it, because obviously it's not normal, and if you do have some kind of hair loss, then obviously there's something contributing to that, whether it be health reasons or genetic hair loss. But they were quite worried. Both my parents were a little bit worried about it. But we didn't really think anything too much of it. We just put it down to, I've done a bit of damage to my hair through bleaching. So I basically stopped bleaching my hair and was starting to allow it to grow back through naturally. And I still noticed it was quite thin, but at that point it wasn't anything really noticeable. I was still able to wear my hair down, I was able to tie it back in a ponytail, and I wasn't noticing any real bald patches or thinning. Now, around about the time that this all started happening, I had a big life change. I started living in Portugal, which is a whole other story. But to give you a brief idea, I had met someone when I had been on holiday there, and I decided to stay with that person, and they became my partner. And the majority of my hair loss journey has kind of taken place in Portugal. I was there for 5 years, so a lot of it was based when I was there. So basically, when I was in Portugal, I had very long, dark, almost black hair. I was trying to blend in with the locals. I'm going to insert some pictures of how I looked, and in those pictures you will see that my hair was very long, and in those pictures it's all my own hair. I wasn't wearing extensions or anything, and I used to wear it down all the time. And again, I never thought anything of it. I thought it looked fine. However, my partner would make comments about how thin it looked, and I remember a time where I went to a hair salon and he came with me because at the time I wasn't able to speak Portuguese, but I was able to understand the language really well. The hairdresser made a comment about the fact that I looked bald, or balding was the words that she actually used, and I just vividly remember this appointment at the hairdresser's and hearing her say those words, and my heart absolutely sank, because I was aware that there was some hair thinning at this time on my own, but I never realised that other people were noticing it until that conversation took place. And they were kind of both joking about it and saying, you know, oh, she has very thin hair. It's definitely not Portuguese hair because that's very, you know, thick and luxurious. Which, okay, it was. You know, most Portuguese women have beautiful hair, but I didn't have that at the time. So I remember feeling very self-conscious, sat there, and I just wanted to leave. And I remember going home and just crying for hours about it. That kind of led me to really hating going to hairdressers, actually. And throughout the years, I've kind of put off going to hair salons, mainly because I just don't want them to look at my hair. I don't want them to think, oh my God, what's wrong with your hair? Why is it so thin? And I know that's ridiculous. And I know there's so many amazing hairstylists and things that are actually, you know, profession is in dealing with women with hair loss or very thin hair. And you know, of course, nobody would actively try to be rude or nasty, but it's just really put me off over the years. So for the entire 5 years that I was in Portugal, I did my own hair. I coloured it myself, I trimmed it myself. I didn't let anyone else touch it because I was so paranoid. And I also developed a thing where I just didn't like people touching my hair in general. So even my partner at the time, I didn't want him touching my hair at all. I just hated it. If I ever caught him looking at my hair, I just felt super self-conscious. So for the next few years that I was there, I noticed now and again people were starting to notice my hair thinning. People at my work, in the restaurant that I worked for, were making comments again to my partner about how thin my hair looked. Now, I worked for a Chinese restaurant for quite a few years when I was there, and again, I think they were trying to do it with love, but they were mentioning, you know, all these different Chinese remedies and things. Rubbing ginger onto your scalp was one of the things that the lady suggested. She says, oh, it will definitely help your hair grow back. It's so good for hair growth. And I know they were just trying to be nice, but I just felt so embarrassed when anybody started talking about my hair loss, especially when they were talking to my partner about it and not to me directly. I felt like I was a freak or something. I felt like something was terribly wrong with me. And it was really, really awful, and it completely destroyed my self-esteem. And I just didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't ever want my hair to be on display. So I started wearing it tied back in a ponytail quite a lot. That's when I also started to discover concealer sprays. Batiste dry shampoo with a dark colour in it. Just anything that had a dark pigment, you could just cover up any thinning areas. Now, again, I didn't really notice full-on hair thinning. I noticed that a lot of hair would come out when I washed it or brushed it, but I wasn't noticing any real visible bald spots or really widening of the part. It was just a little bit wider than it had been when I was a little bit younger. So again, I just thought, it's just fine hair. I just have fine textured hair. You know, my background about my parents, my mum also has very, very thin hair growing up. So again, I just thought it was the same as hers. And a lot of my mum's hair thinning has been due to medications and things that she's been on over the years with health. My dad has no hair. My dad lost his hair at a very young age. But again, I've never really thought anything of it because guys lose their hair and it's just seen as more normal than it is for women, which is completely wrong. I'm sorry, but it is just wrong. We need to have this normalised because so many women suffer with hair loss, and yet I feel like we're made to feel like we're abnormal for it. Sorry, side rant. So I tried a lot of different products while I was there. I've tried a lot of different hair loss remedies. I tried, in my previous video, I talked about how I've tried Norcrin hair tablets, Viviscal hair tablets, hair loss shampoos, hair loss tonics, lotions, things that you just put on your scalp that apparently stimulate hair growth. I've tried them all and they've all failed. They never worked, any of them. Now, I never got diagnosed or anything over there because, again, I didn't really know how to. I was living in a foreign country. It's really not something I knew how to look into at all. I think my insecurities to do with my hair loss and my general appearance contribute a lot to the relationship that I had with the person over there. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it was a very horrible, horrific time of my life, and I was with a very nasty person who almost seemed like they were happy that I had these insecurities because it made me easier to control. Again, I'm not going to get into that in this video. That's a completely different story, and I just want to focus on the hair loss side of things today. Fast forward years later, I was back living in Scotland and my previous partner that I was with was long gone. I had met someone new this time and I just went back to feeling a little bit better about myself. Around this whole time is when I also had problems with my eating disorder, so that is also a contributing factor, I believe, in my hair loss because I really wasn't eating, and I think that that's what's caused me to have so many deficiencies in my general health. But when I moved back home, things did get better in the sense of I was eating again, and I was on the road to recovery with that, and I'd met someone new, and I was at a really happy time in my life, and my hair loss just again never came into it. However, due to all of the experience I had back in Portugal, I started to still be very insecure about my thinning hair, and I stopped wearing it down a lot of the time. It was always tied back in a ponytail, or it was just kept off my face. Again, I found doing that would just draw less attention to the widening part that I was starting to notice, and it just stopped people ever asking about it, to be honest. So for quite a few years, again, I never got diagnosed, but I used to go to my GP and say, I'm really worried about my hair. It's looking very, very thin. It seems to be coming out quite a lot when I wash it, and I don't know what the problem is. Can we do something? Can we run some tests? Can we try to figure out what could be causing this? And I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of GPs that I've had have just completely brushed that off and basically said, you just have thin hair, you know, there's nothing wrong with you, it's just thin hair. They've looked at it briefly and again just made me believe that this was all in my head, that I was just being vain, and that there was actually nothing wrong with me, I just had thin hair. I cannot tell you how soul destroying that is to almost not be believed that there's a problem, or just to be made to feel like you're going insane and that it's just in your head and that there's nothing actually wrong with you. It's awful, and I got to the point that I just stopped asking. I stopped investigating it. Instead, I did a lot of my own research. I have spent so many hours Googling things. I've spent so many hours researching female hair loss and putting together the things that I thought was causing my hair loss and what it could be. The power of self-diagnosis is ridiculous. I don't recommend you do that. I do recommend that anybody goes to a medical professional if you feel like you're suffering with some kind of hair loss, or that you're noticing something isn't quite right. Go and get a diagnosis, whether that's at your GP, make them listen to you, or if you go privately, which I eventually did last year with a private trichologist. But, you know, I had to do something. I had to try and figure out what was going on, so I did a lot of my own research. And again, throughout the years, I've just tried different things to combat hair loss, products-wise, that just never worked. So another 7 years or so have gone by, and again, nothing's really been done about it. The partner that I was with at the time briefly said that he noticed my hair was thin, but actually never really brought it up that much. So we just kind of got on with our lives, and I just went through emotional hell internally. It was something that I never talked about with anybody. I just kept it to myself. But at this point, my self-confidence and my self-esteem was just absolutely in tatters. I had none, basically. I was very, very self-conscious when going out. I would spend hours in the mirror trying to fix my hair with back combing and using fibers or using sprays and just everything that I could do to make my hair look acceptable, basically. And I think that's been my biggest problem over the years, is I've always worried about what other people are going to say, what other people are thinking about me. It's plagued me throughout this entire time. Life before alternative hair, I guess. So again, let's fast forward a bit more, because nothing really much changed in my life. It was just that I was getting more and more depressed. However, the breakdown of my 7-year relationship with my next partner that I've just spoke about really kick-started me into really wanting to find a solution. The reason for that is because I blamed a lot of the reason that I was left from that relationship was because of how I looked. Now, don't get me wrong, we were going through a lot of problems and things in the relationship, but I ultimately blamed myself. I thought, it's my fault. I don't look pretty enough. It's something to do with my hair. I just blamed myself, basically. And I know that it's ridiculous, but I blamed myself. And I really got to the point that I thought, oh my God, I am now single. I'm 30 years old. I'm single. How on earth am I going to start dating someone where I have to explain my hair loss or have them see my hair loss? And will I ever be accepted by another person again? Because I was led to think that no, I wouldn't. Single life with hair loss is not easy. So if any of you out there are currently trying to navigate yourself through dating, and whether that's wearing alternative hair, or if you've just started your hair loss journey and you don't know how to bring that subject up, my biggest tip is don't bring it up if you don't want to. If someone doesn't actually ask you if you have hair loss or talk about it, you don't have to mention it. And if you do ever mention it, I would just keep the conversation as casual as possible, because granted, I can say this now from experience to where I am now with my hair loss journey to back then. If someone had ever asked me about it, I would have been absolutely mortified and wouldn't know what to say. But now I'm just kind of like, yeah, I have hair loss. Yes, I wear alternative hair. Big deal, let's move on. And if someone doesn't accept you for that, they're not the type of person you want to have in your life anyways. So, to my current situation, I got through the whole dating experience with my hair loss. I didn't have alternative hair at the time. I just wore hair extensions and hair cover-ups again, like the sprays, the fibers. And to be honest, the people that I had went on dates with never mentioned it. It's never been something that ever came up. And I did start to feel a little bit better about myself. However, secretly, I always thought if I ever got back into an actual relationship with someone, this was going to be a conversation I really didn't want to have. So my life with my current partner now is basically leading up to a lot of how I've just started out, accepting my hair loss, and obviously what led me to make this channel. When I got together with my partner, this was the biggest thing on my mind. Was eventually when we started living together, he was going to see that I had hair loss, because now at this point my hair loss was significant. I would say over the last 3 years it's really accelerated. My part is wider than ever. I just cannot wear my hair down at all. And I really didn't know what I was going to say. He'd never noticed before, but that was mainly because I've always worn my hair tied up with hair extensions and used my cover-up sprays. I got very good over the years. 15 years of hair loss, I got very good at covering it up and disguising it so that nobody actually did know, only me. But I had so much fear and anxiety about having this conversation with my partner when he moved in with me that eventually he was going to see it. So the conversation went a little bit like this. I have hair loss. My hair is extremely thin. I don't know what is causing it, but I've done a lot of research over the years, and I believe it to be androgenic alopecia, but I've never been diagnosed. My partner's response was something along the lines of, I've never noticed. You look amazing. You're so beautiful. There's nothing wrong with you. Whether you had no hair at all or the hair you have now, it doesn't change anything. And to be honest, you guys, that is the normal response from most people, unless they're horrible and they're not very nice people that you don't want to have in your life anyways. That tends to be the normal response from people, because at the end of the day, your hair doesn't define you and it doesn't make you the person that you are. And most guys get that, or women. Most people in general are never going to be horrible about it or say anything nasty. Half the time they don't even know, to be honest, and I found that out more recently, which has been a really big shock, because as you know, we all go around thinking, are people looking at my hair? Has someone noticed my hair's thin? Are they wondering what's wrong with my hair? But it's all up here. It's all in our own heads and our own insecurities. And the majority of the time, people are too busy worried about their own problems to care about our hair. That's when I found alternative hair. So I found alternative hair from Instagram. I found a few Instagrammers that were wearing toppers, and I decided, wow, what a great solution to hair loss. Me and my partner looked into it, and I decided to purchase my first ever hair topper. And my love for alternative hair has begun. It did so much for my self-esteem and my confidence. I felt amazing, and I just wish I'd known about hair toppers sooner. I wish I'd known about them years ago, and then I would have saved so many years of upset and hurt. I cannot tell you how much hair toppers and alternative hair in general has changed my life and changed my outlook on my hair loss and how I feel about myself as well. The other thing that we decided to do was finally get a full diagnosis. So we looked at a trichologist in close to the area that we live in, and we went along and I had a consultation. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I felt two very different emotions after my consultation. I felt a little bit of vindication that I had been told what the problem was, and it was something that I already knew about for years, and to finally have someone tell me, yes, this is what's causing your hair loss, was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulder. It was such a relief. However, being told that it was androgenic alopecia and effectively there's no cure was quite soul destroying. I remember going home in the car just after the consultation and crying about it for hours. I was devastated, and my partner he didn't know what to say to me, because he was like, this is good news, this is something that you wanted to know, but obviously he could understand that I was absolutely devastated about it at the same time. It was just having to accept that this is never going to change. I'm not going to be able to fix this. It's something I'm always going to have, and it was just so hard to actually take in. So finally, I'm going to show you how my hair actually looks, in case it's not something you have seen. Again, if you're quite new to my page, you might not have seen my bio hair, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to take off my topper and get really real with you guys and show you what this actually looks like underneath and what I'm working with. Now, my hair, as I said, has significantly thinned out a lot more over the years, and I feel like it's maybe steadied itself out. It's stopped falling out as much, but it's at its worst that it's ever been, and I really hope it doesn't get any worse, but I'm preparing for if it does. I've started looking into wigs, because obviously if I get to a point where I can no longer wear hair toppers, then a wig is an option, and I'm making peace with that now. There's some amazing human hair wigs out there. There's some amazing companies I've looked into that look super natural, so it's definitely something I would consider. But this is the problem that I have. This is my hair. This is how thin it is, and as you can see, it is just super thin all over. There's not one section of my hair that isn't thin. It doesn't fall out in clumps. There's no actual bald spots as such. It's just a generalized thinning all over my head. I don't have very much bio hair left anymore. If I was to put it in a ponytail without my extensions, this is all I have. Literally, that is every bit of hair on my head. So as you can see, there's not a great deal of it anymore, and that's fine. My main aim is to keep it healthy. I obviously have coloured it. However, I'm no longer going to be colouring my hair, as I've said in previous videos. I'm just going to allow the actual bio colour to come out. And yeah, I'm just going to continue wearing my hair toppers. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and accept it. I don't want to feel bad about it anymore. I don't want to feel ashamed about it. I need to stop self-loathing and making myself feel like this is my fault. It's not my fault. There's nothing I can do about it. And I just want to start learning to accept myself and stop being so hard on myself. And that's my biggest bit of advice, is stop being so hard on yourself. If you have hair loss, it's not your fault. You can't control it. Just learn to love yourself for how you look and who you are. It's the best bit of advice I can give to anyone, and it's definitely what's helping me, you know, live my life again and not just be in constant state of fear and panic. The other big thing I'm going to say is stop caring what other people think. I know that's really easier said than done, and don't get me wrong, I've spent years caring what other people think and whether or not I'm being judged about my hair loss, but nobody cares. Nobody cares as much about it as we do, and no one is judging you. If they are, then they're horrible, but I don't think anybody does. Everybody's got their own issues. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope it has been helpful and that it's helped someone out there if you're, as I said, just starting out on your hair loss journey. I really hope this has helped. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel, please subscribe. If you don't already, give me a follow on Instagram. Thank you so much.